Who's the best sleeper at every position in 2024? Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms, and I'm excited to bring another solo video to you guys here today. And this is all part of the new format, so hopefully you guys are liking the way that we're kind of spacing this out. If you didn't see last week, we actually went live Friday night with a fantasy recap for last week. We're going to try and do that every single Friday, just going live around 9:30 on Friday nights. I know some of you guys are going to be in bed or in the bars or wherever, but hopefully you guys can join us on those. We like those. We'll be uploading them the next day. I uploaded it on Saturday for you guys to listen to anyway. But this week, my whole goal is going to be getting a few of the kinks worked out on that one and making it looking a little bit more polished, I guess. Would be the best thing that we can do for that. But new format, just if you're a new listener, this is what we're going to be doing for the next couple of months. Monday is going to be this video, solo video by me. Wednesday will be me and Dale kind of recording a solo topic of the week, and then Friday is going to be a recap live. If you guys have questions or anything like that, you guys can always jump in and leave us some live questions. I think this Friday we're going to try and do a live mock draft, so make sure you guys check that out. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel so you get notifications. Hit the little alert bell so you can get the notifications when we do go live, because we are going to, like I said, try and do that every single week. But you also get access to this content, and you get to see this right when it's coming out as well. And I've got a good one for you guys today. I was doing a little bit of digging into the best sleepers at every single position in 2024. And, you know, some of these names are mysteries to why, like, some of them are popular names, but you'll have to explain to me why they're so far down on the list, because the production that I'm anticipating from these four guys is just absolutely insane, and I don't understand why they're being so devalued. So it's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to get into that. Before we do, though, again, please subscribe if you're new. If you're a returning listener and you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are we doing, guys? Come on, help. It helps us, and we like to just give you guys content. I have no desire, and I've said this before, I don't care if I ever make a dime from this. I honestly just want to help people win at fantasy football and give takes that are a little contrary to the norm, and kind of push what people think about things in that regard. So that's what this whole channel is for. I don't care if I ever make a dime. I just want you guys to subscribe so that you guys can hear all the content when we do give it to you. And you can call me dumb. You can call me an idiot in the comments down below. That's totally fine. Leave a comment, whatever you guys want to say. We appreciate it. And then last but not least, if you can, go over to our Twitter, X, whatever pages, at TDC_Calvin and at FF After Dark for the podcast. You can leave any questions, roster advice, anything like that on one of those or in the video down below, and we'll be sure to get back to you guys. So, long intro over. Thank you guys for checking this out. Let's get into today's topic, which is going to be the best sleeper at every position for 2024. And I've got some good names for you. I really do. And I feel like a lot of these names you're going to say, oh, yeah, I could see it. I can see it. But I believe that this is the time of year, and kind of just reflecting on the last couple of seasons in fantasy football, every offseason there's these guys that are just, you're just like, man, they're screaming value, but I just don't care enough. It's not a sexy name. It's not Jamar Chase. It's not Justin Jefferson. You know, it's not who's the Brock Bowers, right? One of these hit names at tight end. It's not these guys, but these are the guys that are going to end up winning you your league, and you can get them for a penny on the dollar right now. So they're just so cheap. Why not? Why not try and just throw a third-round pick in 2025 out for one of these guys and see what you can get? Now, obviously, some of these guys are going to be a little bit more expensive than that. I'm not just going bottom of the barrel for all these guys, but I do think that there is some massive value in all four of these guys that I'm about to name for you. So this is the time of year that a lot of that work gets done. People are starting to go on vacations. You know, we're in the dead zone of the NFL calendar. There's really not much of a dead zone anymore. The NFL news takes up most of the year, but right now is the biggest dead time. And, you know, a lot of people aren't paying attention to their rosters, and this is where you can throw out a small trade and people are like, oh yeah, sure, I don't really care about that player because they haven't watched this video. So, you know, we're going to name them, and go and get them, because I do believe that all 4 of these guys have the potential to be league winners for 2024 and potentially beyond. All right, let's go into the tight end position first. And we're going to start with a guy on my New England Patriots, Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is being left for dead. He's 29 years old, plays for the New England Patriots. Last year finished as the tight end number 19. Didn't really get much done. And if you're watching on YouTube, I do have his sleeper profile pulled up here just to kind of show last couple of years what he's been able to do. But the one thing that stood out to me the most, ever since he's come over to New England, he's been a touchdown machine, right? Not necessarily a yardage machine. He's not that special in terms of that aspect. But I do think that he has top 12 potential this year with rookie Drake May. The last couple of years, he has not had a good offense built around him. You know, Mac Jones, say what you will, but I don't think anything was going to go well for New England with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as the offensive coordinators for this team. It was a joke. And you saw Mac Jones when he was a rookie in 2022 really made Hunter Henry relevant. And I know, okay, you're looking at it on YouTube. I mean, he was the tight end number 22 in 2022 when Mac Jones was first coming out. Or maybe that was 2021. 2021. His first year, not that exciting, right? But not bad either. And you get a competent offensive coordinator in here, and I think that this is going to just be a match made in heaven. We all know that rookie quarterbacks love to use the tight end and the running back as a safety valve for their dump offs and everything like that. And they love Hunter Henry around the goal line anyway. And everyone keeps saying, oh, this is one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL. I like it. I think there's some sneaky depth to this team, right? You've got DeMario Pop Douglas, Juju Smith-Schuster still there, Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Reagor. You've got Jalen Polk. You've got Kayshon Boutte, Kendrick Bourne, Javon Baker. Like, it's not sexy names. I fully understand that. But they're not superstar names either. And that's where I think that Hunter Henry can be very fantasy relevant. They did just extend him as well, if I remember correctly. So, he was going to be a free agent this year. They extended him another year or two. So he's got the money, he's got the opportunity, and I think that he's going to be dirt cheap because based on all of the rankings here, his current trade value is tight end number 25. And again, he beat that last year. He was the tight end number 19 last year with a terrible offensive system, playing 14 games, only got 61 targets. I think that number is going to be closer to about 80 targets this year. I do think it's going to be not quite what it was in LA, maybe closer to what it was his rookie year or first year with the New England Patriots, rookie year with the Patriots. But I do think his touchdown numbers are going to be very, very good. So again, currently the Dynasty tight end number 5 in consensus rankings, going behind Theo Johnson, who's a rookie that we don't even know what he's going to do over in New York, right? Greg Dulcich, who's been injured his entire career. Taysom Hill, who's a whatever player. Who the hell knows what Taysom Hill is? But Chika Okonkwo, again, I think that there's a lot of potential. And if he does finish as a league winner, as a top 12, top 10 guy, and you get him for the 312 is his estimated value right now, maybe even a 4th rounder. It's just so worth it in my opinion, especially at a position in fantasy football that's not been the most reliable the last couple of years and is starting to get a little bit better. All right, now we're going to go to the quarterback here, and this one is where, again, I'm just getting the two out of the way right now that I know the people don't care about the most, and that's going to be Russell Wilson with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Russ is an interesting guy. Last couple years, the let Russ cook movement has kind of he set the kitchen on fire and kicked it out the door. I don't know if the kitchen is condemned, keeping it with the kitchen theme, right? I don't know if the health inspector is going to shut this restaurant down or if they're going to be the resurgence that, this is the little mom and pop burger shop that, you weren't sure. They got rid of all those old cooks, got rid of the cockroaches. Are they going to be good enough to keep them out, or is it something that's just going to have to get them shut down? Last year with Denver, finished as the quarterback number 14, though, 16 the year before that, 16 the year before that in Seattle. Has not played a whole season in any of the last 3 years, but you know this team. Mike Tomlin, great, amazing head coach. They bring in Arthur Smith, who I think is a better fit for Russell Wilson than Sean Payton was, just based on the concepts alone and the scheme of the offense. It's tailored much more to what Russell Wilson likes to do. He likes to scramble around, buy time, and then chuck it down the field. Sean Payton does not want that. He has a timing-based offense, and that's why it did not look the greatest last year, because Sean Payton, for being a Hall of Fame coach, did not want to adapt his offense to the strengths of his quarterback. So kind of bad coaching in my opinion, personally, but regardless. He goes over to Pittsburgh. Decent weapons. I don't know what you guys think about them, but Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, good 1-2 punch there. They continue to build up this offensive line. Last couple of years it's been pretty mediocre. They get Broderick Jones last year. I think they took another guy in the first round this year. I can't remember who the Steelers picked, but regardless, they continue to build up the offensive line. You have George Pickens, Roman Wilson, Van Jefferson is not a bad third. Calvin Austin is not a bad third either. You've got Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington as kind of the Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith of this Arthur Smith offense. So there are plenty of weapons. Good offensive line, and the defense is above average pretty well. They've got TJ Watt. Other than that, I think they're kind of weak in the secondary and their linebackers, but they play hard under Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is going to keep this team together, and all the reports are so far that Russell Wilson has really won over this team, and Justin Fields has been struggling. We talked about this on Friday in the fantasy recap, and it's not great signs. And if Russell Wilson plays the entire year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's not a single doubt in my mind that he's going to finish as a top 12 guy, barring injury, right? You're like, okay, that's great. Super flex or one quarterback doesn't really matter. The reason why I love it so much is Russell Wilson is currently the quarterback number 33. He's going behind Geno Smith and Derek Carr, barely ahead of Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell. Like the names of players that he's going behind, when he's one of the only quarterbacks in the NFL right now being devalued that could easily finish as a top 12 guy. He finished at the number 14 in an abysmal offense literally just last year. He's very mobile, which is what gives him that fantasy relevance that I think a lot of people were overlooking. Last year, for example, he had 80 rushing attempts over the whole season for 340 yards. Not a bad number. Not many quarterbacks get over 300 in general, and you pair that with his generally pretty good touchdown to interception ratio. He's always going to be probably right around 30 touchdowns. Man, if he gets to double-digit interceptions, it's a shock, right? He's done it twice, 13 and 11, twice in the last couple of years. But I do think that his numbers are going to go down, and his fantasy value is going to continue to go up. So you can get him for dirt cheap right now. Like I said, in Superflex, he's valued as the 210. That's insane, guys. You have a potential top 12 guy. He's behind Justin Fields, who has been struggling, right? And I get the age aspect. I understand all of that. But if Russell Wilson plays well and he gets this team to the playoffs, and let's say they win a playoff game, you think there's any chance that they're not just going to re-sign Russell Wilson and let him finish his career here? There's no way, guys. There's no way. So I think Russell Wilson still has at least 2 to 3 more years left in the tank, and we're going to find out here this year. But, man, the value on quarterback number 33 with the potential for top 12 if he plays the whole season, it's too good to pass up, personally. So that's my thoughts there. Let's go over to the running back, and this is somebody that I feel like not enough people are respecting Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas with the Washington Commanders, obviously a good player. not an elite player in any aspect, but you look at 2023, and that was the first year that Brian Robinson was able to start the whole season playing healthy without a gunshot wound to his butt, right, or through his knee. Like the bullet literally went through his knee and caused no long-term damage, thankfully for him. But they changed the coaching staff from 2022 to 2023. Eric Bieniemy, everyone wanted him to be the offensive coordinator to see what he could do without Andy Reid, and it failed pretty spectacularly. And I think that's kind of the reason why the dude never got head coaching offers, right? He got interviews, never an offer. Everyone always, blamed it on this or that, but you look and the proof is kind of in the pudding there last year with the Washington Commanders. It was not a good offense. Brian Robinson, he does have sneaky good hands. He's still pretty young. He's only got 2 years of experience. He came out a little bit older as a running back. And I don't know if that's what's putting people off of Brian Robinson, but you've got 2 years of cost control left on him this year and next year. Obviously, they have Austin Eckler there, which is, I think, another thing that's kind of driving down the price on Brian Robinson. People look at Austin Eckler and it's the name value there that he was once an amazing running back. I think he's kind of past his prime, and I think we'll see this year, but I do think he's kind of lost that magical touch. Jaden Daniels is a rushing quarterback, and a rushing quarterback's best friend is the running back, especially near the goal line. And again, with Jaden Daniels' running ability, it's he's very frail and likes to get himself in trouble. Then you pair that with the new offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, and he likes to use the running backs. He likes to use them in the passing game. Maybe that's going to be more Austin Eckler than it is going to be Brian Robinson, but literally every beat reporter has talked about how good Brian Robinson has looked this entire offseason. The dude is traditional weight, 6'1", 228 pounds. Again, got two years of experience. Last year finished as the running back number 21, averaging 4.12 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns in 15 games behind honestly one of the worst offensive lines. They really tried to attack that this offseason. They're trying to build that up, make sure that they can keep their rookie quarterback safe. Good weapons on the outside. So I think this team is going to be sneaky better than what people expect. And Brian Robinson has the potential to finish around probably running back 12 to 15. And he's currently ranked as the running back number 31. So again, a massive discrepancy in where I think his potential value is and what the community is valuing him at. Again, the pick value is the same as Russell Wilson in Superflex, around the 210 mark. And you're really going to be taking Marshawn Lloyd over Brian Robinson. Like, what are we doing, guys? I understand that he's the new shiny toy, but I mean, the dude's also like 20. I think they're the same age, if I remember correctly. So it's just crazy to me how people are devaluing Brian Robinson. Very good situation around him right now, and I think that he's going to absolutely thrive, especially with Cliff Kingsbury, a mobile quarterback. You look back at all those years with Cliff and Kyler Murray, and James Conner was very fantasy relevant. And I get it, James Conner and Brian Robinson are not the same, but again, I do think that Brian Robinson has sneaky good hands. Last year he had 36 catches on 43 targets for 368 yards. Very good numbers across the entire season. Not amazing Christian McCaffrey numbers, but you look at his game log, and very rarely, that's a pretty good percentage. He was 80% catch rate, which is very good for a running back. Means he has solid hands, and I think Jaden Daniels is going to completely love him. Like we talked about with Hunter Henry, rookie quarterbacks love their running backs and their tight ends to dump it off to underneath. And again, maybe that's Austin Eckler, that he's going to play more of that role, but I do think that Austin Eckler has lost a step, and that's where Brian Robinson is going to really shine in this season. And again, you have him for another year. Like, that's the best part of Brian Robinson right now. So super cheap. Get him for a late second. Maybe it's 2/3, whatever it is. But I think that you could get him for a fairly good price. And if you're really hurting at running back, what's the downside? You get a guy that you're going to be able to plug and play. And I just look back to David Montgomery for all those years where David Montgomery was very valuable for fantasy, even though the community hated him for whatever reason. And I get he's only I think he's only like a year older than Brian Robinson right now, but the age and the experience and everything like that. Brian Robinson's a young 25, so I'm not too worried about that aspect. All right, now let's go to the last position, which is going to be the wide receivers, and this is another guy I think is being completely devalued. Diontae Johnson with the Carolina Panthers got traded there this last offseason, currently ranked as the wide receiver 49, going behind, he's one spot ahead of Calvin Ridley, behind Keenan Allen, just ahead of Jalen Polk and Troy Franklin. Like, that's the company that he's in. If you're looking, again, 210 roughly for a super flex draft pick, it's just so cheap, man. I don't understand why he's being devalued. You look at last year, only played 13 games, played with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky, which was not a good combination. And you look at the game log, and yeah, obviously he played in week 1, 43% of the snaps, gets injured, misses the next month. They come back in week 7, and it's a little bit of a ramp up. But after that, it was very hit or miss, whether or not he got a touchdown or not, really kind of won you or hurt you. But gets traded over to the Carolina Panthers from the Steelers, which was surprising. The Steelers don't typically tend to do that. They had just paid him a decent amount of money, but I think he was a very loud voice in the locker room from all the reports that I kind of saw. And I think Mike Tomlin is just so burned by Antonio Brown that he just doesn't want to deal with these diva wide receivers anymore. So he traded him off. They got him over to Carolina, and right now, I can't believe how low he's rated. Like, wide receiver number 49, he's this team's number 1. Day 1, he will be the number 1. I get it. They drafted Xavier Legette, the 5th-year breakout that did nothing through 4 years in college. Like, it's not a good, stable metric that Xavier Legette had no production, right? But he's going to play on the outside. Diontae Johnson has inside-outside capabilities. He can go into the slot. He can play. He can be your more move wide receiver, the Z role, or they could put him as the X. Like, Diontae Johnson played the X for many years over in Pittsburgh. He can handle that. The other guys he has to compete with, it's like, I don't understand why people are doubting on him, I guess. You've got Jonathan Mingo, who at this point in time is absolutely nothing for this team. You've got the ghost of Adam Thielen. You've got Terrace Marshall. Like, the opportunity is insane for Diontae Johnson. I get it. Bryce Young's not exciting. Bryce Young is a very mediocre NFL quarterback, but still had 3,000 yards last year in a dysfunctional offense. They really tried to fix that by bringing in a new head coach, Dave Canales, who really saved Baker Mayfield. And it turns out that Dave Canales was actually with Geno Smith in his revival year, where he came back in a big way for the Seattle Seahawks 2 years ago. Goes from Geno to Baker, saves both of them. Is he going to be able to do the same thing with Bryce Young? I think he's going to be good enough that for fantasy, you're not going to really know the difference. And if Diontae Johnson can get 30% of the target share, which I think is pretty fair, maybe it's 25%. Again, that's not a bad number. It's going to be around 100 completions. And for wide receiver 49, again, for a late second, he's not even like that old, guys. He's really not. He's 28 years old. These wide receivers are playing into their 30s pretty easily nowadays, the way that they train and take up the supplements for their body and everything. There's just so much longevity left for Diontae Johnson for such a cheap price. So I love Diontae Johnson. I have been actually getting him in a couple of leagues wherever I can. Brian Robinson, I already have him everywhere, so it's impossible to get him in other leagues. But yeah, Diontae Johnson, I've been actively trying to go out and get him everywhere that I can this offseason because I just believe in the talent and the opportunity so much. And this is big because I was not a big Diontae Johnson guy when he was being valued around wide receiver 12 to 15 in that range. But now that he's dropped a little bit, man, we've gone way too far with 49 overall. He's going to be a top 24 guy for sure. And it's just easy returns on your draft pick. So that's the whole spiel. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Do you agree with these are the best sleepers at each position? I tried to really get guys that are ranked way too low in my opinion. Now, again, some of these guys are bigger names, so you might think that I'm crazy, but I went to multiple places to verify kind of the consensus ranking on these guys. And again, it's just way too low. You take what their current ranking is and divide it by 2, and that's about where I think all of these guys are going to finish. So I think there's a lot of potential value there for you guys in your leagues. Otherwise, I wouldn't be bringing this podcast to you. So let me know down in the thoughts below in the comment section. Please subscribe to the video, turn on your notifications, like the video, do all that fun stuff. It just helps us out. And if you like the new format, hit us up. We're looking for topics. I think we have a good one for Wednesday, but if there's anything you guys want to hear, just let us know in the comments below as well. Again, one last time, FF After Dark for the podcast on Twitter, and TDC_Calvin for myself. I am starting to get very tired. Went to Sky Zone with the kids today and was jumping quite a bit, so I'm starting to hit my limit. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and until next time, have a good night.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?